Write, where we give serious writing critique without taking ourselves too seriously. I'm Brock Booher, and with me today is
Adrienne Quintana.
Janette, Rallison.
Lindsay.
Well, folks, as you've been watching this before, I'm sure you know how this works. We're going to read a submission, a first page submission. And if at any time we would stop reading, we will. So we are pretending to be agents and editors, and so we will critique then what we've buzzed and what we how we feel about this first page submission. So today, Randy will be our narrator, and he has the only copy. So if we ask him to reread something, that's why. Take it away, Randy.
All right. This is titled Withdrew. Grasping for breath, I lurch upright until...
All right, so I'm just buzzing out because I'm always telling people not to start off sentences very often with ing words. That's one of those things that new writers often overdo and do wrong. And so just to start your piece with that, I mean, it might be fine, and that might be the only place you do it on the page or in the chapter or whatever, but I wouldn't do it on my first sentence when I'm submitting it to an agent or editor, because they might, that's like one red flag in the first sentence.
Okay, but what if they also end the same sentence with an ing? So it's like bracketed. I mean, there's kind of a nice symmetry to it. Yeah, it does. It goes, I lurch upright until I'm sitting. So there's some symmetry for it. Does that make a difference?
And if this was maybe not the first sentence, if it was the only sentence that you did that in the first page, I would be fine with it. But just your first sentence, I wouldn't.
Okay, she got her buzzer all the way early.
I lurch upright until I'm sitting. Beads of sweat cover my forehead, and my shirt sticks to my body. I take in my surroundings, my eyes darting around frantically. Family pictures on the wall, backpack by the door, turquoise duvet on the bed. My room. I scrub my hands down my face and take a deep breath, letting the frigid air fill my lungs. It was just another hellish nightmare.
So we got somebody waking up from a dream, although this time it's a nightmare and they're sweating, etc. This happens to me all the time in real life, and I really don't want to start there. So anyway.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Don't start with a dream. A rerun I've come to expect every night for the last couple of months. I flop back onto my pillow, staring at the shadows creeping along the ceiling from the trees outside. It was just a dream. It was just a dream, I mumbled to myself, staving off the shudders and waiting for the cold boil of my blood to calm. I checked the time on my phone and groaned, 2:15 in the morning. A familiar ring fills the air, and I grab my phone, touching the screen to make...
I'm just sequentially, I felt like she was already holding her phone, because didn't she just check the time with it? And then I didn't feel her put it down, so the blocking feels a little bit off.
Okay. A familiar ringtone fills the air, and I grab my phone, touching the screen to make his worried face appear. Another nightmare? Drew asked from the phone, furrowing his brows. Yeah, I say, rubbing the remaining cobwebs from my eyes. Same one? Yeah, I can't get that day out of my head. I sigh and rub the back of my neck. How long until these nightmares end? Every person is different. You've got to come to terms with the fact that you had to kill them.
Ooh, the music got really interesting.
I shake my head at the screen. It's not that easy. They had mothers, wives, children. I'm the reason those families are hurting. You, of all people, should know how hard losing a parent is to a child, right or wrong.
Oh, we just got so much more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we started off wrong, and there's some issues with some of the mechanics of the writing. But I see a budding relationship. I see where she's hurting and trying to get through it, and we introduce a character that seems interesting that calls her at 2:15 a.m. out of the blue.
I kind of disagree that this one shouldn't start with her waking up, because the nightmares, like I was intrigued by the fact that this person called and knew that she'd woken up with a nightmare. How do they know?
I was intrigued, but I thought that was needed explanation. I was like, wait, because I wondered if it was like a baby monitor.
That's what
You
I
know?
thought. Or
If
if
this
they're
person's in
watching
the
her, if she's
house?
like some kind of a spy and they're seeing her wake up and sit up and.
I would think we need a little bit of internal thought to
Yeah.
explain why.
Is she
You
part
know,
of a
she's
sleep
a-
study?
Yeah, I wondered. Yeah,
The
but-
murderer sleep study?
But even though it makes sense, I see why you started with this dream, because it is an interesting way to give us this backstory that she's killed people. But again, it's just that so many of them start with dreams that.
Well, and her reaction to that dream was a little bit funny because we didn't get the idea that the dream was of her murdering people.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it was the same dream again, and then it feels more urgent when now she's talking about it later. So
Yeah.
that was a little bit.
No, I'm trying to think if there's another way. If you want that backstory out first, that this is a person who's killed people. How would how would you do that without doing the dream?
Maybe a quick sentence, I woke from the same nightmare I had for the last 2
Right.
months. I
There's
checked my
faces,
phone,
yeah.
2:15.
That's what
Suddenly,
I'm thinking.
in my phone, while I was checking the call goes through, without me calling him, a familiar ring.
Or let us
Jump
know
right
how
to it
they
quickly.
know that she's
Mhm.
woken up, because I think that would be really intriguing. I mean, you could start with the waking up from a dream if that's the way to
Yeah.
show it, but just make it short like that.
Yeah,
Right,
sure.
just like Brock said, and that's exactly what I was thinking. Make it short, do the 2:15, all of a sudden the phone rings, which is, weird. And we'll give the reader a reason to, that's a mystery for the reader to try to unravel. And then move immediately to the...
You had to kill them.
You had to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think I would have her doing some other goal, some other, whatever she's working, and she's groggy, and the guy says, "Wait, did you have another nightmare?" And have the conversation that way instead of having her wake up from the dream. Just because it works, and if you are a published author already who's has an editor and everything, they'll probably let you do that. But it's just if you're submitting, I'm just worried that they'll stop reading before they get to the really cool. You had to. kill
Although,
people.
but what if there's something significant about the fact that he called her right after the nightmare's over at
Yeah.
2:15
I mean,
a.m.? That really sticks with me. I'm like, okay, I want to know why the heck this guy's calling her at 2:15
So
a.m.
did I.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
just
knows
shorten
that
that.
she's awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That's
if that's important to the story, then yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It needs to be important to the story that she's
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
watched by somebody, or else
Yeah.
if it's just random that somebody called her, then.
Yeah.
Well,
I
she
don't
said
know.
familiar, and so a familiar ring, so I don't know. If you can get through the fact that she's waking up from a nightmare quickly, you could
But-
probably make it work.
How much do you want to bet, though, that she wrote it that way first, and then somebody said, "Well, you need to show that visceral reaction to the dream, and that's why she put all that stuff in." But because we don't know what she's reacting to, it doesn't feel.
Doesn't have the impact.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Well,
doesn't
because,
have the impact.
dreaming about something, even a recurring dream,
Right.
doesn't mean that you're remembering or dreaming about something that's actually happened.
True.
So I think, like, waking up sweaty from a nightmare could be that a dragon tried to eat you in the nightmare, it's not real. I think
not?
showing us, it's only happened once to me.
Okay, you know what, so actually, maybe a real quick glimpse in that dream. Since we know now that those nightmares are from her killing people, is it her?
Yeah, show
think
us
so.
the faces or the blood or
The bodies
something,
fall,
like,
right?
instead of her reaction
The
to the
bodies
dream.
fall.
Yeah.
I wake up, it's that nightmare again.
Yeah.
I go to
Yeah.
the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
I go to the bathroom and splash water on my face, and my phone rings.
How many
Yeah.
times am I going to have to?
I
have
check the
this?
time. It's 2:15.
Why is he calling me
Why is he
again?
calling me?
Something
Boom.
like that.
Very short, and then we move right to it.
Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah, and that's a good first line. The bodies fall. I mean, you can move right through it. So yeah, there are ways to move through that. I think fairly quickly. So speaking of moving quickly, should we vote?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll start down here. I'm going to give this a right, just because I think there's a cool story idea here. I think this is an interesting character. There's an interesting situation going on. It just doesn't seem to start in the right spot, so I would rewrite this first page. But there's a lot of strength in it and a lot of things I like about it.
I'm going to say set on this one because there was enough that intrigued me about it that I think I wouldn't change the scene myself. I liked it starting with this dream thing, but I would just tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to be set also because I loved it when we got to the murderous part. Randy,
Oh,
there you
Randy
go.
had an effect
See, you're
on
sitting
me,
next to Randy.
apparently. But yeah, so I was really intrigued, and I think it shows her humanity too. That she obviously had a reason for doing this, but that she feels guilty. So, yeah, I really liked it, but I think you just need to change that beginning.
So I want to point out that Janette indeed liked dead bodies on the first page, okay? And she gives me a hard time about that all the time. I'm going to give it a set. I think that she's got, the elements are here on this story. I think she just needs to move it around. The author needs to move it around a little bit and maybe take the suggestions we've made, which I think are some minor tweaks to it.
Well, did we get it right? Comment below and let us know how you think we did. Maybe you've got a suggestion as well for how to get past that dream scene quickly and help the author out, or
Maybe
some other
you
suggestions.
have a good dream that you'd like to share with us.
There you go.
No,
True.
just kidding. We won't
Maybe a
read it,
dragon.
we'll buzz it.
Or just comment that Randy's right. Bodies on the first page is the way to
The
go.
bodies hit the floor.
Or
tell us your
maybe,
dreams and we'll interpret them for you.
yeah, there you go.
There you
Maybe you had a
We'll just
dragon
say,
in you
"You're
last
just kind of
night.
messed up, people. You're just real messed up.
I'm going to start a book that way. Bodies hit the floor. Yeah.
Don't use that first line now.
No, you can use that.
Brandon
I'll
is
come up with
stealing
something
that.
else.
Okay. Well, folks, we're glad you tuned in. Until next time, get ready.
Get set.
Right.
We can just stand up and hold microphones.
No.
As we do like the shoe bop.
That would be kind of funny.
As we
We'll
do
be
the
like,
did she just say as we do the she
We're
bop, she bop?
dancing.
Yes.
I
She
did.
just did.
I did, but I said the as at the beginning.
Wait,
of the
Janette, I've got a
sentence, which is
sentence for you.
how-
Dancing across the screen.
As.
As we
Move from side
critique
to
the
side.
story.
Yes,
So,
that's totally
All right, should I
natural.
just tell him
Adrienne.
to, tell him to wait?
I guess we could
We'll let him in?
Yeah.
No, you can use as at the beginning of the sentence because then you're giving the reader, you're letting him know right off these are happening sentences.
I hate to tell you, sometimes I use as,
I know,
not like that.
and the thing is if you can, like if you do it every once in a while,
All
but
right.
if you do it 4 times in one
I
paragraph,
know, it's
No.
once in a while, and I make sure that it's something that I can
Yeah.
do
As
at
you're
the
writing.
same time. Right. The two things, I can do both of them at the same time.
Like walk and chew gum.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's
I
sometimes
Like
when
record
you
on YouTube and use the word as.
Walking as
Yeah.
I chew gum.
and I actually think my problem is that I have flagged that for so many people. Now I can't do it at all. Like every time I write it, I'm like, no.
You should write a first page and use the word as 5 times and show it right
Use
every
it in
time
every sentence.
and then post it online.
Right.